I know you have some tough decisions to make this week. That's why I'm here. Receiver, man. Sometimes it's the toughest thing to choose between receivers. Well, let's try to narrow that down for you. But before we do that, what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo. Just in case you did not know so, go ahead and give me a nice thumbs up. It's much appreciated. I'm glad you did that. Thank you, thank you. Do it right now. And subscribe. Please? Only if you enjoy the content, of course. But let's go ahead. Let's get into receivers. It's a very... I know I have a tough time trying to pick which receiver to start, which to bench. So let's go ahead. Let's go in. Let's get in. Let's look at the starts and sits for this week. We're going to start with Atlanta. We're going to start with the Colts. Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley. They're both starts this week for me. This is a bit of a tougher matchup. I almost put Ridley as a sit, but it looks like he's getting some targets. Last year, that was kind of a problem. He was a bit of a roller coaster. A lot of his production he did in the first half of the season. Now that I think about it, it's the first half of the season. Go and start Ridley. T.Y. Hilton, he seems to be the favorite weapon there in Indianapolis. Go ahead and start him. And Mohamed Sanu. Sorry, man. The ball, you can't give the ball out to everybody. You're gonna be a sit for me this week. And any receiver that's not named Hilton, you're a sit as well. All right, so we're gonna go talk about the Ravens, the Chiefs. You gotta start all the Chiefs receivers, man. I know in my waiver wire show, or whatever you want to call it, video, I just talked about how Robinson, I wouldn't pick up Robinson, but that would be if McColl was still there. Robinson, he's gonna put up numbers. Pat Mahomes is your quarterback. If you are a receiver, you're gonna get the ball. You're gonna put up fantasy numbers. Go ahead, start all those guys. Only guy I would start for the Ravens at receiver is Marquise Brown. He's the big play threat, and against a so-so Chiefs defense, a Chiefs defense that is in the middle of rebuilding, he is probably your safest bet at receiver if you're looking at Raven receivers. Willie Snead saw some targets last week, but he's not going to get you in the end zone. That's Mark Andrews' job. And we got Cardinals versus the Panthers. This is the thing, is if Cam Newton plays, I think Curtis Samuel is a start. Until we find that out, I have him in a sit. DJ Moore, though, he's the #1 receiver there. He's seen at least 8 targets in each game this year. He is a start. Christian Kirk, I knew that first game was a fluke. Came out and he looked like the #1 there. I know Larry Fitzgerald's there and he's stealing targets because he's Larry and he can do that. He can do that. He's a Hall of Famer, dang it. But Christian Kirk, man, he's the future. And he looked good last week. Now it seems to be that Bird is now, he beat out Keyshawn Johnson for wide receiver 3 there in Arizona, but I think it's kind of irrelevant in this matchup. As well as Michael Crabtree now kind of got acclimated to the offense. He saw a few snaps. I think his snaps are only going to go up from here. Still a sit for me. It's Michael Crabtree. And let's talk about the Bears and the Redskins. Terry McLaurin, has he not proved it to yet? Does he have to go out there and do it to the Bears defense? He is the only bit of offense this Redskin team has. And you know what? He's doing a fine job at it. He's a start. Allen Robinson is the only weapon of relevance there in Chicago. I have both the other two, Gabriel and Miller, as sits because Cohen seems to be the wide receiver 2 there. And Trey Quinn, again, it's a so-so offense. It's a tough matchup. McLaurin all the way. Buffalo Bills versus Cincinnati Bengals. John Brown, you start that boy. You start that boy. Let's talk about Tyler Boyd, though. Tyler Boyd has seen a lot of targets. He's been a monster. He's been safe. He's been reliable. He's been loyal. I love me Tyler Boyd. John Ross, I said this in my tight end video. Check that out, by the way. He had kind of a dud of a game last week until garbage time, and they just chucked the ball up to him, and he's like, hey, 70-yard touchdown. There we go. Got that big fantasy game. I'm not sold. He's a sit. Zay Jones is a sit. He's the third option in that offense. And Cole Beasley, he's been seeing the targets. I'll give him that. He's been seeing the targets. But this game could get out of hand, and they could rely on the run game a little bit more. Kind of makes me feel queasy. I just think there's better starts out there than Beasley. My bad, man. I like you, I love you, Beasley. I love you. Talk about the Broncos. Let's talk about the Packers. Devontae Adams. He was your first-round pick. He's a start. He's a start, and it must have felt so good last week seeing him come out and put up a good game. Emmanuel Sanders. Yeah. Wow. Flacco and Sanders, man. I'm happy for y'all, man. Congratulations. Y'all make a great couple. As far as the sits, MVS, Geronimo Allison, I don't know who the number 2 is. I know MVS sees a bulk of the snaps, and he gets a bulk of the targets. He just didn't do anything with it last week. And Allison, I just don't trust it. You could go back to week 1 and like, oh, where were you there? I mean, yeah, I just don't trust it. Cortland Sutton, Deshaun Hamilton, same thing, same verse, same as the first. I just don't trust them, especially in this matchup against a Packer defense that has been just balling out. They have been balling out, and Emmanuel Sanders is the only means of offense for the Broncos. All right, Detroit Lions versus the Eagles. Kenny Golladay. I said you were a sit, and then you got up, looked me in the eye, and then spit me in the face. Spit me in the face? You spit in my face. I'm all mixed up on words. Your start. My bad, dude. My bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Marvin Jones Jr., man. He's seeing... I'm just going to say this. All his targets, for the most part, he has caught. I think it's just a matter of time before he busts one off for the big one. He is a big play threat. Waiting to happen against an Eagle defense that got scorched in the first half against the Redskins. Do with that information as you must. Now, Nelson Aguilar, he was in my waiver video. It looks like Deshaun Jackson will miss this game, and Alshon Jeffrey, they have him as questionable, but he has to play 2 games in 10 days. He could very well miss both those games. Nelson Aguilar is a good start this week against a so-so secondary there in Detroit. Danny Amendola, he doesn't see enough snaps. Now, you may be like, well, okay. No, you can't even say, well, okay. Let's listen. Week 1, Danny Amendola just produced very well with the little he was given. This last week, he didn't do anything with what he was given. He's not given a lot. He's a sit. Alshon Jet, and then I got RJ Whiteside. He's a rookie, and I don't want to use that as a cop out. I'm unsure. I'm unsure how that offense is going to look without Jeffrey and Jackson. I'd rather guys like Aguilar, Ertz as the go-to guys. And you also have Mac Hollins there, so he just might get lost in the shuffle. There's better plays. That's all I'm going to say. There's better plays. Houston versus the Chargers. Keenan Allen, but of course, he is a start. DeAndre Hopkins, he is a start. He was a first-round pick. He's starting every game this week. I think Mike Williams is a good start this week. I think they will go to him a lot more in the red zone. As far as sits, Travis Benjamin, I have as a sit. Or if you're in deep leagues, he's a low-end flex play. Will Fuller, I don't trust. Kiki QT, great name. I love you, my dude, but you don't see the field a lot. Kenny Stills. If you're not DeAndre Hopkins, it's hard to trust anyone else in that receiving core. On to the next game, which is the Rams versus the Browns. Guess what? I know Robert Woods had an off game. Everyone can't get the ball, okay? Everyone can't get the ball. So, like, you're going to start Cooper Kupp. You're going to start Brandon Cooks. You're going to start Robert Woods. And one of them's not going to deliver. That's just how it happens. Odell, though, he has delivered. He will be heavily relied on in a game that could get out of hand. The Browns, I honestly, they're going to have to pass to stay in this game. Javaris Landry, they haven't really utilized yet. So he is a sit for me until I see otherwise. And let's talk about the Dolphins and the Dallas Cowboys. Let's start with the Dolphins. You sit all the Dolphins. Matter of fact, you release all the Dolphins. There's better players on the waiver wire, I promise. Devin Smith, I think last week was an outlier. I like his potential in this game as far as being the deep threat. I just don't buy into it. I think Randall Cobb, Mari Cooper are better options. Devin Smith could very well and go off. Or this team could get up early and run the ball a lot. It could go either way. I'm just saying. We got the Patriots versus the Jets. Philip Dorsett. If Antonio Brown sees a ton of the offense this week, I think Philip Dorsett has the most to lose there. So he is a sit. Antonio Brown, Edelman, Gordon, all starts. I don't think Brown will affect Edelman at all. He might affect some of Gordon. Gordon only had 4 catches last week, but it's more so about it's what Gordon does with those catches. He never really saw a lot of volume, at least in the last few years, especially with New England. It was about what he did with the volume he got. So I still think he's a play against a very weak secondary. Robbie Anderson, Jamison Crowder, they're good options. They're just facing a really good defense, and they potentially will have Luke Folk as their quarterback. So sorry, guys. You're going to have to ride the pine this week. Giants versus the Bucks. Sterling Shepard. I don't know if you're going to be healthy this week. I'm going to sit you. If there's another Giant receiver on the offense, if there's another receiver on that Giants team, let me know in the comments. When's Golden Tate come back? I miss you, Golden Tate. Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. I think they're in a good matchup, and Mike Evans, don't fret just yet. Don't fret just yet. Mike Evans is a great receiver. He has to get his soon. I think soon is Sunday. Raiders versus the Vikings. We're talking Adam Thielen. We're talking Stephon Diggs. I think they are starts against a very, I don't want to say it's a weak defense. It's a defense. It's a work in progress. It's a defense in progress. I think their starts. I know Stephon Diggs hasn't really seen much of anything, but that's more of a Kirk Cousins thing than it is a Stephon Diggs thing. Tyrell Williams, if he plays, because he is on the injury watch list. If he plays, he's a start. Who else they're going to? That's not Darren Waller. As far as the rest of the Raiders and any other wide receivers on the Vikings, they're sits. Surprise you much? I didn't think so. All right, we got Steelers versus the 49ers. Deebo Samuel, I love what I'm seeing from Deebo. They are specifically trying to utilize, they're designing plays up for Deebo. I think Deebo's a good call in this game against a very weak secondary. Marquise Goodwin, I say he's a start. He's a low end, maybe wide receiver 3, but he could definitely see a deep ball this game. I'm telling you, the secondary for the Steelers has been that bad this season. Juju is a start, and I got James Washington as a start because Mason Rudolph, this is the guy he's most familiar with. This was his receiver in college. This is the guy he threw to at train camp, in practice, and in the preseason. This is a sneaky pick. This is me saying, hey, I'm gonna go with all these things that add up. Hopefully it adds up. Dante Pettis, until you see more than 5 snaps, you're a sit. And Dante Moncrief, until you're able to catch more than 3 of 10 targets, you're a sit as well. We have the Seahawks versus the Saints. I talked about this in my other videos. Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara are the only people I trust on that Saint offense, as long as Bridgewater is at quarterback, or until Drew Brees comes back, I should say. So I got Michael Thomas as a start. Teddy Ginn, Traquan Smith, I'm sorry, y'all are sits. Tyler Lockett, I have as the only start. DK Metcalf has been, he's been very good to start the year, but I think that this game may turn more run heavy than their last few, and this is a team that's already pretty reliant on the run. So I think Tyler Lockett's the only safe pick in this matchup. And we have Tennessee versus Jacksonville. Rest in peace. Let me get a moment of silence for D.D. Westbrook real quick. Miss you, man. But yeah, D.D.'s just not the same. He's not been getting the same opportunity since Foles is out. I talked about this in a few of my other videos where him and Foles really had something, and it looks like Minshew really has something with Chart. So he's the start. He's really been very good these last 2 games, and this is a tough matchup against a tough defense. But if Jacksonville is going to do anything, I think it's going to be through Shark. And AJ Brown I have as a start, just because that Jacksonville secondary, man, has been kind of a mess. And I don't trust Corey Davis, and I don't trust Adam Humphries. The only guy I would trust is AJ Brown, and he has the best. He's the biggest deep threat on that team, which is where I can see Jacksonville getting burnt. That's it for the video. Hopefully you had a good time, and I was able to help out with some very tough decisions. But Godspeed, good luck this week in fantasy. But until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.